8:30, so I've got to take the young birds off of darkness. And the darkness system is basically just where you dim the lights of the loft by putting shutters over the windows. In my case, it's from 5:30 at night till 8:30 in the morning. Right then guys, and they all know it's time. And so these have been on the darkness system since late March, so about 8 or 9 weeks. So they'll be coming off of it soon. And the point of the darkness system is to try and trick the pigeons' biology into thinking that winter is coming. And then they shed their summer body feathers, not their flights, not the feathers on their wings, but their body feathers. They'll molt those out, so we kind of force a molt, so that they don't end up molting during the young bird racing season. So we're kind of bringing it forward, and it basically means it's no different to a pigeon being born now. Say these are way advanced. So if it was born now, then by the time it gets to their age, currently it would be natural darkness anyway. So all we're doing is we're just manipulating that. So there's no extra stress on a pigeon, in theory, because pigeons that are like late breds or born in the wild, closer to the end of the year, will automatically go through this system anyway. So we're just bringing it on sooner. Yeah, that looks like a easterly wind up there. If I do a bit of a weather prediction, or weather, this is my weather forecast. That way is north, that way is south, and the wind looks like it's coming from there, northeasterly, and it's actually picking up more than I thought it was. We're in a bit of a bowl here, so it doesn't get too windy, but looking up there I can see that it is quite a good northeasterly. Not as strong as it was a few weeks ago, but still. So where we'll come, I don't know. We've only got 6 birds anyway, so it's just about keeping them fit now. So the thing with having such a small team now means that I've got to really pick and choose the pigeons that I send and which races I send them to. The NRCC, North Road Championship Club, are racing from Perth today, and I would have liked to have sent them to that, but it's further than they've ever been by 40 miles. And the last time I sent them 2 weeks ago in northeasterly, I dropped quite a few birds. I dropped 2 from the NRCC, they haven't come back. That's 1983, one of my favourites, and 2011. So I'm reluctant to send any more, because if we keep losing them at that rate, then I'm not going to have a team left. I see this online, where lots of other people that have got small backyard lofts like this, small back garden lofts like this at least, and small teams, they really do start to have to pick and choose which races and pick the birds that they send if they don't have many birds. And as all of mine are yearlings, they're more susceptible to being blown off course and not making their way back. It's well known, I think, in the sport that easterly winds are not good for pigeons. And I was talking to Alex in Belgium, and he said he's had the same issue, the winds over there, and the effect it's had on his yearling pigeons. So, and it seems like it's happening to everybody. So it just means I can't send as many birds to all the races, and I might have to miss some. And hopefully 1983 will make her way back, 2011, 2012 will make their way back when the winds change, if the winds change to westerlies, southwesterlies. But the prevailing wind at the moment is northeasterly, and it's not doing us any favours except in the NRCC. Eggs. Keep finding them on the floor. Okay, there we go. Yeah. I poked it through the hole. We've got one hen coming back, so I'm going to set this pad up as well, just in case she decides to come through this flap here, which there is a possibility of that happening. Right, and then I'll plug that into the clock. I need to go and find the clock. We're ready to roll. Right. So today's race is Hexham, but I'm going to talk about the last race that we did, which was from Berwick with the North Road Federation, but also from Dunbar with the North Road Championship Club, and that one we came top of the section, which is pretty good. So that's where we are, and we raced from Dunbar, which is 200 miles. With the North Road Championship Club, and from Berwick, and if you look at, like, that's pretty much as straight as we can go. The wind was coming, it was meant to be like 6 mile an hour northeasterly, so it wasn't going to be too bad, but it ended up being like 21 mile an hour coming from this direction, from the east and the northeast, and it blew all the birds over to the west side of the country. And so the Berwick birds were 20 miles short of Dunbar. They're from there, and they were liberated half an hour, I think, or 15 minutes before the birds from Dunbar, 15 minutes. And they arrived in a decent time, but not an amazing time. The Dunbar velocity was a lot slower. The birds from Dunbar were a lot slower. And I think what happened is all of the birds from Berwick were flying into this area here. They're all the Nottinghamshire Federation, right? So as soon as they liberate, they go straight down here, and they will get blown off a little bit with the easterly, but they're all aiming for the same sort of area. But the birds from Dunbar, some of them will be going all the way over here to Norfolk, and some of them will be over here in like Hereford, Shropshire, Gloucester, some in London. So when they set off, they fan out a lot more, and so my birds have got to try and, whichever pack they're in or whichever flock they're in, they've got to sort of at some point go, ooh, we need to turn off and get to Ollerton. And that's, we got one that did it. The second bird was 22 minutes behind the first bird. So I think what happened is when we were watching them come, they were really, really slow as far as I could see, but they should have come from that direction, which is Berwick and Dunbar, but they came from that direction, which is the west. And so they were blown all the way over into the west side of the country, and then at some point went, oh, actually we need to cut across, especially the Dunbar birds, because I think the Berwick birds came from that direction and the Dunbar birds came from that direction, so they definitely got pulled over. And it just makes it more impressive, I think, that little bird, which is what, a year old, just over a year old, maybe 18 months old, never been to Dunbar in its life, managed to sort of go with I think there was 1,700 birds that were liberated and find its way back to this loft. But then this is the ultimate goal, this here, look. So this is where we've been. That's where we are, and that's where we've been, and then the next one up that I really want to get to eventually is Lerwick, and that's all of this water to cross. And if it's a southwesterly, they'll have to fly this whole way. Look, follow my finger there, the whole way, all of that over the sea before they come inland. And we're miles off being ready for that, but a bit exciting when they do. Also, I've got a strag, look. If I can stay out of the shade, a guy from Glasgow or Edinburgh, I can't remember which, rang me, and they liberated around here, and his bird ended up at our loft here, but he had 4 others reported. This, bear in mind, this Scottish bird had 4 others reported from Ireland, and they've been blown over into Ireland, so he's had to go and collect them, and then I've sent mine up to Hexham and liberated it for him, so hopefully he'll get to the one that landed with us, came in with us. So that's where we are today. Better get set up. Right, so John's just rung and said that the birds went up at 10:30 in a light northeasterly. So I reckon it'll be over 2 hours, obviously, probably 2 hours 10, something like that. I'm going to go and have a look at the results because from the last time we were there, because it's a similar sort of wind, maybe not quite as windy, but a similar sort of direction. So I'll have a better idea of what time to expect them. Yeah, so there is a fair bit of wind actually, but not quite as bad as last time, but it could pick up. So I reckon, well, what do you reckon, 2 hours and 10, 2 hours 20, something like that? Which we'll see. Only got 6 birds in it, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how they come. And I've come back and I've found a tin of paint upside down, dripping out the back of the van. So I've had to jet wash all of that off, and all on there, and rubbed it all down, still a little bit there. So that's full of rags, and that's full of rags, and I've sort of sent the water that way. No doubt it's going to dry like an oil slick. Anyway, whilst I was tidying that, guess who flew by? I heard a flap of wings, and it's 1983 over there in the corner. That's Charlie. Charlie will be happy about that, because he couldn't work out why she'd not come back, and it looks like she's either been grabbed or I haven't checked her over properly yet. She's either been grabbed or she's hit something, but she's had almost a month to recover and make her way back, so I'm pleased about that, really. It's 35 minutes past 10, so 25 to 11, and the birds were let go at 8:40 this morning into a brisk southwest, I think he said. So we're expecting them to be just over 2 hours. I've got everything set up and it's really, really hot. So I've now got my new hat that my kids bought for me for Father's Day, because when you stood out here for so long looking at the sun, it gets quite bakey and I end up cooking my neck, and you can get sunstroke actually if you're out here for too long looking up. And yeah, looks all right. And then it's got this little cord here, so when I'm sailing as well, I can wear it because I get sunburnt when I'm doing that, and it won't blow away. I don't know if it looks all right. I think it looks quite good. The wind has changed since our last race. It's now westerly. Every race so far has had an easterly in it, which has pushed the birds into the country, into the inside, west side of the country. Now we've got some southwesterly, or some west in the winds. It should push the birds to the east side of the country, but suits us better for the federation. But also I feel like it's a bit of a, I don't know why, but it seems to be, even though it's been warm with the easterlies, a lot of people say that easterly winds don't work that well or aren't that good for yearlings, and we've probably found that with how many we've dropped. But I've sent all of them, other than Ryan Not Brian obviously, because Ryan Not Brian's banned from going further than Darlington, and 1983, which came back with a hole in its chest and a bunch of tail feathers missing, so she's been gone for a month. She's been gone since Dunbar. She's in a cage in there because she didn't like being in there on her own. She's not used to it. And we've got the fantail down there, so hopefully the fantail will do a better job than last time. I need to fly. Need you to fly straight to the landing board. All right. What time are we on? Right, 22. So any minute now. I always say that, and they always end up coming really late. So, whew, a blooming neck's warm. Yeah, I think. There we are. Look at that. Perfect. Look at that. Three together, that's the best start I've had so far, but what's that, 51? We'll work out the time in a minute. '98 with them. There we go. Whew. So I've just got off the phone with John, and it looks like we're about 5 minutes off the pace of the guys in Ollerton, so not very good as far as speed goes for those. Even though those three dropped together, they were 5 minutes off the leaders, which is kind of to be expected because they've not raced for 3 weeks. They've not been flying great around the loft, which is why I had to take them on a training chuck this week. So that's we've definitely got some work to do to try and get the most out of the tail end of this season before we start with the young birds. So yeah, room for improvement, I would say. So I'm going to try and do a couple of things this next couple of weeks and try and get them to speed up. Put my neck. Yeah, well done, Charlie. 48. Who's that then? 1998. 1998. 98. Well done, Charlie. Did he circle much? Did he circle much?
No, it went round. Just went round once.
48. 48. That's a good speed, isn't it? That?
48. So.
Oh dear. Yeah. Blimey. I thought you were joking.
I knew there wasn't that.
Right, I better get him sorted. Jeez. I did not expect them. It's really, really windy. I did not expect them to come in that quick. That's 1998. He topped the Fed once before. Well done, boy. Let 1983 out for a bit for him. Coming in with some speed. Where's he gone? In you go. That's 2003, I think. Right, it's really, really windy today. It feels a lot windier than it said it was going to be, and it's strong west wind. There might be a bit of northerly in it, so I wasn't expecting those birds to come at that time, but Charlie said get ready, so I was messing about with the camera, getting that set up, and then I just heard him shouting that there was one of the birds was here, which is great. So it turned out to be 1998 again, our first bird back, so God knows where he is in time. Probably going to get beaten by the Ollerton Flyers again, but he was well ahead of my next bird. Can't remember what it was. I'll have a look now. But so far we've got 9 birds back, all of the cocks other than 2003, so we're just missing 2003. So if you see there, 1998 he was back at 48.33, 11:48, 33 seconds. The next bird back 12 minutes. So he's about 12 minutes ahead of our second bird. But I don't know how that fares as far as the rest of everybody else, you know, the rest of the Fed. In 1986, never really done anything. 1990, he was our first bird back last week, but he was a good way behind, wasn't he? 14 minutes behind. And all the cocks pretty much. 2005, he's the one that we had to get shipped back from the previous race because he wouldn't come any further than Hull. He was clocked in. He went to a loft in Hull. He's got a tail feather missing today, so I'll give him a look over later. And then 4930, that's the last one back so far. So we're missing Darlow 94 out of the birds that we know. Ryan Not Brian isn't back yet, and neither is 2003, which I'm hoping will turn up. I'm going to go. I haven't had a phone call yet from John, club secretary, so as soon as he gives me a ring, we'll go. I'll try and find out, see what sort of time they're on. I like to think that he's probably 1998 is on a good time. But this is it, isn't it? I was fumbling around with the camera, so you'll see on that the audio might be terrible because I didn't have it in the case that I've got, and I don't have any other cameras set up today because I wasn't planning on filming it. But it's not a big race, it's nothing special happening, so and I didn't think much of my birds for this because they only had their first race back after 3 weeks last week, so they're not in great shape. It's more of a comeback race for them. They've got 2 more races left after this one today, and I thought I'd get them flying some more. But yeah, I'm just looking over that way because that's the way they're coming. You can see them just between the houses in the distance when they go by. Yeah, so there we go. I've been playing around with my new boat. I bought my new boat, and I was planning on going sailing tomorrow, but I don't think I'm going to bother if the weather is this windy because I don't fancy tipping her over. But here we are. Look, I mean, I don't think anybody that watches the channel really into boats, but this is a Falmouth bass boat. That's where I went to university in Falmouth, and I love the style. Nice tanned. I mean, look at that. It's like trying to blow my hat off. The audio on this is probably terrible as well because of the wind, so I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to wait for the rest of the birds to come back, and then it's time to start training the young birds. So this week coming, I'm going to get the young birds flying, and we've got, what have we got in there? I think we've got 15 money birds in there. So we've got 5 for the NRCC at Dunbar, and we've got 10 in the NNRA, which is also at Dunbar, I think. Is that another one coming back? No. Oh yeah, there we go. Here we go. That's Darlow 94. I'm sure of it. Probably wrong. Yep, Darlow 94 back. Good. Pleased about that. Right, so we just want 2003 back, and then, well, we want them all back really, but yeah, excellent. See ya.